Mourning families today growing increasingly angry at the conflicting information they have recently gotten from police. For instance, officials initially said an officer had engaged the gunman before he entered the school. But now we're being told that is not true. In fact, the shooter was actually outside the school for about 12 minutes before entering through an unlocked door.
So all that adding to the confusion after police waited for about an hour before entering the classroom and killing the shooter. Texas DPS on the front lines of the investigation, the shifting timelines, the shifting facts were the focus of a contentious news conference that took place yesterday afternoon that went a bit like this.
It was reported that a school district police officer confronted the suspect that was making entry. Not accurate. He walked in unobstructed initially.
How is he able to get in if it was a school that's supposed to be locked during the school day?
So right now, during the investigation, it appears it was unlocked. So we're going to look at that and try to corroborate that as best as we can.
Was there a school officer on campus, and was that school officer armed? Because that's what we've been told.
So at this time, no, there was not an officer readily available.
Should the officers have gone in sooner? Should they have waited for those tactical means, or should they have gone right?
That's a tough question. Again, it goes back. Our job is to report the facts.
What were the officers doing between 11:44 and 12:44?
I got you.
Questions.
Yes, sir.
Behind that, you guys have said that he was barricaded. Can you explain to us how he was barricaded and why you guys could not reach that door?
So I am taking all your questions into consideration. We will be doing updates.
We've been given a lot of bad information, so why don't you clear all of this up?
So here is the timeline to the best of our understanding. The suspect's grandmother was shot. 911 was called around 11:20 a.m. 8 minutes later, 11:28 a.m., the killer crashes his truck near the school. 2 minutes later, another 911 call reporting that shots were fired outside of that school.
Then at 11:40, the gunman enters the building. 3 minutes later, 11:43, the school goes on lockdown. The kids are declared safe. Then 1 minute later, officers arrive but retreat in the face of gunfire.
So about a full hour later, Border Patrol tactical agents go in, and 20 minutes after that, police say the attack is over and the killer is dead. So many questions left unanswered. We'll get press conferences throughout the day. First, I want to start with Bill Melugin reporting live in Uvalde this morning. There was a congressman, Bill, on our air about 90 minutes ago suggesting that the killer was arrested as a juvenile. Apparently that wasn't the case. It was a different kid. Is there anything else authorities in Texas want to clear up as of now, or will that come later, Bill?
Bill, good morning to you. There certainly is. I'm told by law enforcement sources close to the investigation that a press conference is planned later this morning, 11 a.m. local time, where they are going to release significant new details into this investigation, particularly with the timeline. You guys just mentioned the timeline. As we know it, I'm told that timeline is going to change, and they believe they have the information down literally to the second now. So we are expecting new information and a more concrete, firm timeline in an announcement later on this morning. You mentioned off the top, though, as well, that that report that the shooter had been arrested as a juvenile years ago for plotting a mass shooting. I'm told by DPS that report is incorrect. That did not happen. Those were two other teenagers, did not involve Ramos, the shooter. Also want to show you this video, these photos here, these images yesterday here in Uvalde. This is the mother of the shooter. Her name is Adriana Reyes, and she was seen praying, rocking back and forth, appearing to hold a rosary on the front porch of her parents' house here in Uvalde yesterday. Appeared to be very emotional, again, rocking back and forth with that rosary. She declined to talk to Fox, understandably, said she was praying. As for her mother, the grandmother that the shooter shot before he committed this mass shooting, we're told she is now stable. She had surgery. She is unable to physically talk, though. Also, Fox News spoke with the family members of Xavier Lopez. He was one of the little boys who tragically passed away in this shooting. They have a lot of questions about not only why this happened, but how it was able to happen, particularly with security at the school. Why was the door open? Where were the police? Here's some of what they had to say.
Didn't follow what the school guidelines are. What happened to the security?
I don't understand exactly what happened. but I think that they should have gone ahead and secured that back door.
It was a bad situation which had never happened.
Yes.
A lot of kids got killed.
And again, Bill, we are now waiting for that 11 a.m. local time press conference, noon Eastern, where, again, I'm told by law enforcement sources this timeline is going to change again a little bit. They believe they have it down second by second now after reviewing surveillance video, and they also tell me they're planning to release significant new details.
Okay,
what that is, we'll find out.
Yeah, I want to go to the end of the timeline now, Bill, and I think this is critical because if there was time wasted trying to take down the killer, there are students possibly in this classroom that may or may not have been alive or even been able to be saved at that point. If there were 19 kids who were killed in the same room, along with 2 adult teachers, how many students were in that room who got out and lived through it? Do we know that answer?
We do not know, but that's going to be one of the biggest questions. Obviously, if police took a really long time to try to re-breach that room to get back into that room, the criticism is going to be there could have been children who are still alive, who are bleeding out. There could have been a chance to save some of these people. But if they waited outside and waited for backup and waited for that tactical team to arrive, every second counts in this type of a situation. So we know since Columbine, the law enforcement reaction to a mass shooting is no longer to set up a perimeter and wait for a tactical team. They are supposed to go in there directly to the source and take them out. Because again, every second counts. The assumption is supposed to be every gunshot could be a life being taken. And if it is revealed that they waited a very, very long time to go back in, while there are potentially little children still alive in that classroom, that is going to be a very tough pill to swallow because, again, we don't know. It's a hypothetical, but maybe if they survived the initial shooting, if in a case where seconds or minutes matter, if they had gotten to a hospital a little bit sooner, things could have changed, right? So we'll wait to see what DPS announces later this morning. They have the timeline. We don't. We're speculating, but I am told that they have significant new information they plan to release.
Bill, I want to dive a little deeper into the family dynamic of the suspect, the shooter. First of all, the mayor actually of Uvalde had told us the other day on this program, in fact, that it was the grandmother that called 911. She can't speak now, obviously, because she was shot in the face, had surgery, and she's recovering. But the mother, as you just mentioned, is seen there grieving. The father has come forward and said that he wished he had been killed instead of someone else. What was the relationship between the son and his parents? Was it a bit of a tumultuous relationship? Because at one point I know that there was an argument between the mother and father, and police were actually called, which perhaps led to the reason why he was living with his grandparents.
Yeah, it sounds like there was definitely some sort of strained relationship there or tumultuous background. I did see that father's interview where he said he had wished that he had killed him instead and that he believed he would have killed him because he said his son frequently told him that you don't love me. He was living with his grandparents on and off, and I saw other reporting that the initial argument with his grandma started apparently over a cell phone bill. I guess the grandma was going to take him off of her plan or something like that. He didn't like that. That initially started some sort of an argument and ended with him shooting her in the face, apparently. So, yes, by all accounts, by all the reporting we've heard out there, it does seem there was some sort of a tumultuous relationship within that family, which is why he was living with those grandparents.
It's going to be a long day today. Bill, thank you. Bill Melugin down there in Uvalde.